Welcome to Yoga for Golfers. Today for class, we will need 2 blocks. If you don't have any blocks, you can grab some thick books and they'll do just fine. Today's class, we are moving through a flow that highlights the twists of the spine and its importance in the game of golf. Welcome to Yoga for Golfers. I am so happy to have you here. We're going to start in a standing position. So make sure you have those blocks at the front of class for today's round of twist and stroke. So we'll start at the top of the mat, making our way to a strong and sturdy Tadasana, making sure feet are hip width apart, hands rest down by our side, crown of head reaches tall, finding softness through tops of shoulders, low ribs, and the tops of the knees. Give yourself a chance to settle into the mat, pressing down evenly through the right and left foot. Finding the breath, taking a moment to plug in not only to the mat, but to ourselves and where we're at today. Remembering from our last class, if you joined us for mobility and mindset. On the mat, we aim to be focused and present so we can create ease and steadiness through our movement practice, uniting mind and body. The yoga practice is a great way to cultivate that awareness of the body, the mind, and we can take these skills and move them onto the golf course. Letting the fingers reach down towards the earth, spreading them wide. We'll reach them high overhead, a full body stretch, keeping those feet anchored as we reach tall. A full body stretch, letting the side body activate. Letting fingers again be invited to yoga. And exhale, we'll hinge ourselves at the hips and fold forward, fingertips reach towards the mat. And inhale, lift us halfway, fingers may find the mat, or they may find the shins. Just keeping the spine straight, making sure that we elongate through it, drawing shoulder blades closer together behind the back, extending through crown of head. And exhale, we'll release ourselves back, belly finds thighs, fingers find the mat. Planting them firmly, creating a firm connection with right and left hand. We'll step back, finding downward facing dog. Plugging in through all 4 points. Maybe we find some movement pedaling out through the feet. Bringing yourself into that stillness so we can plug all 4 points into the mat, finding softness through the shoulders, aiming to find elbows meeting one another. And when I mean that, I mean the creases of them stare at each other like their eyes. Letting the spine be long, draping the belly towards the thighs, letting the heels weigh down towards the earth. Exhale, we'll surrender the knees to the mat, coming to a tabletop position. Letting hands firmly root into the mat. Letting shoulders soften. Letting the eyes find the space between the hands. Letting the spine draw long. Notice the way that the tops of the feet meet the mat. Ground down evenly through the knees. Finding balance through the hips and the shoulders. A clearing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Welcoming ourselves into some cat-cow tilt. We'll tuck the chin and exhale, sending the heart high, drawing tailbone and crown of head towards the earth. And inhale, we'll expand ourselves out, beginning the movement with the tailbone. Allowing it to rise high towards the ceiling, dropping the heart. Crown of head reaches towards the ceiling as well. Exhale, rounding back out, moving at your own pace, taking these movements as you please. Just aiming to keep the breath and the movement aligned and united. Peeling the collarbones open on the inhale, letting the heart rise high to the top of the chest. Exhale, sending it back between the shoulder blades towards the ceiling. And inhale, we'll bring ourselves back to that neutral spine. Walking the hands back towards the knees. We'll make our way into a comfy seated position. So we'll take an easy pose or cross ankle pose, Sukhasana, if you prefer ankle to ankle. Making sure that we find a long and tall spine, anchoring in through the sit bones, rising tall through crown of head, softness through the shoulders, letting the hands rest where they'd like, plugging into the rhythm of your breath. Take a few moments to arrive here. Letting the gaze find somewhere to land. A focal point, a drishti point, to help us cultivate concentration. As you find your eyes landing there, letting the periphery open up and your gaze become soft. Knees, low ribs, tops of shoulders and lower jaw hang heavy towards the earth. Heart is proud. Breath is steady. Inhale, we'll reach the fingertips tall, moving into our first twist of practice. We'll twist towards the left side, letting the hands fall where they're comfortable. I offer one hand on the knee, one hand behind you at about that tailbone point, or the sacrum point, the bone in the middle of the hips, or you can have one hand in front, one hand behind you. Letting yourself settle in. Seeing if there's any extra room on those exhales where we can twist and squeeze. So an inhale and an exhale, seeing if there's any extra room, finding that opening through the heart, squeezing shoulder blades together, twisting through that mid-spine. Moving the breath intentionally. Twists create this soak and squeeze effect. So when we move into a twist itself, it restricts the blood flow to the organs. And when we unwind, it enriches them with new oxygenated blood. So doing your best to breathe intentionally here so we can offer up that sweet treat to all of our organs. And inhale, we'll unwind ourselves back to center, letting hands rest where they're comfortable. We'll spend a few moments here just letting that twist settle into the body and clear space for the opposite side. Twists are a great way to warm up before your round of golf. They ensure that the muscles are warm. They ensure that the discs between the vertebrae are hydrated and the spine is in optimal shape to perform. A cleansing breath, and then we'll welcome ourselves into the twist side two. So twisting towards that right side, we'll reach hands high. Exhale, twisting towards that right side, finding the hands landing where they're comfortable. The spine is long, anchored into the mat and growing tall, twisting through the middle of it. If it feels okay, Squeezing that extra space in, just making sure that we stay anchored in place. Meeting side 2 with the same reverence as side 1. Letting softness be found in the face, in the knees. And we'll savor one last round of breath here. Inhale, we'll unwind ourselves back, taking a few moments, letting that twist land in the body, letting the breath recalibrate. Clearing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Making our way to Dandasana, we'll extend both legs towards the front short edge of the mat, letting the toes rise high, heels bounce down. We can find softness through the knees, taking a bend through them as far as we need. We'll rise tall through the crown of the head, letting shoulders soften down towards the earth, plugging in through the sit bones evenly. Maybe hands rest in the lap. We're working on our core strength, or if we'd like, we can have our hands assist us, bringing them beside us or behind us for that extra support, just ensuring that we keep crown of head tall, low ribs soft, breath steady and easy, finding that drishti point again somewhere ahead of you to help you find concentration, keeping the awareness in this moment, grounded and steady, feeling into the body, stepping into that role of the neutral observer, that mindset that we like to cultivate that neither labels, judges, or expects anything from ourselves. Just like the game of golf, we come to the yoga practice. Every time we arrive, there is something new to be seen or heard or experienced. A new skill or an old skill that we still have to work on. And it can be like arriving at the same place, like the familiarity of home. But even sometimes when we arrive, there are unexpected surprises. Things pop up that we do not know or expect to happen. And this is where that mindset, that concentration, that awareness of self in the moment comes into play. These skills that we cultivate on the mat or on the course can help us cope. Mastering our mindset helps us in all aspects of life, especially the asana, the physical postures that twist us. They give us new perspectives. Being able to see from a new direction, finding a new point of view. Sometimes you land the perfect shot. Other times you're in the bunker or you've lost your ball. And that's where the recentering, rebalancing comes in, and the asymmetrical twists help us bring balance into the body And inhale, we'll draw our right leg in, pressing the palm of the foot into the mat. We'll find that optimal distance of heel away from hip for us. And then we can bring the hands to rest on the shin. I like to interlace my fingers personally. Then we'll recalibrate, bringing that balance to the hips, drawing the heart towards the knee. Embracing the asymmetry. The game of golf itself, very asymmetrical. We either swing right or left, and that's where the beauty of the yoga practice also comes in as a healing practice. We can return that homeostasis, that harmony to the body, making sure that the muscles get stretched evenly, that our muscles get warmed up and cooled down properly. And inhale, we'll draw that foot up and over the left leg, letting it fall on the opposite side of the thigh. We'll bring our left arm to either hook around the knee or on the opposite side of the knee, depending on how much space is in the body. We can have that one hand come back to that sacrum spot, or we can have the hands meet each other. Wherever we've landed, committing to being fully there, taking a few moments to settle in, making those micro adjustments to find maximum stretch. Again, purposefully pumping the breath into the body, activating that soak and squeeze. And wind ourselves back to center. Letting hands come beside you, we'll bring that leg back out in front. Taking a few pitter patters, letting the knees rise high, maybe the feet flop. Just letting the legs rebound on the mat. We'll reset at Dandasana with a clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In comes the left leg, finding that optimal spot, keeping the right leg extended, toes high, heel ground down. Hands rest where they're comfortable, soft shoulders, relaxed face, trust and support of your spine. Finding breath. Embracing that balance, making sure that we keep that concentration here and now. And inhale. We'll let that leg guide itself over to the opposite side of the right leg, landing just beside the thigh, making our way into that twist, hooking the arm, finding the space on the opposite side of it. Maybe the hand reaches back, maybe it reaches for opposite fingertips. Listening to the body and trusting its instincts, making sure that we don't move too far in or don't relax too far back, making sure we find that optimal stretch for ourselves. And we'll unwind ourselves back to center, bringing that foot over, letting hands rest beside you, letting those pitter patters come to the legs. bringing them back to stillness, hands come beside you. We'll swing the legs around to one side, bringing ourselves back to that tabletop position, hands directly under shoulders, fingers spread wide, palms drawn up. Plug in through the shoulders, draw the spine long, knees directly under hips, feet plugged into the mat. Exhale, we'll take ourselves back, taking a child's pose briefly, letting the hips sink back towards the heels, knees drawn together, letting the head relax towards the mat. If the forehead doesn't quite reach, we can bring a block underneath of the neck to support it. And by underneath of the neck, I mean resting underneath your forehead so the neck is supported. Giving the spine a moment to reset. Finding breath, moving evenly. The lengths of the inhales and exhales match one another as they dance in and out of the body. If we place a block underneath of our head, we'll carefully remove it. Moving into a lateral side stretch, we'll walk the hands out to the left side as far as is comfortable, making sure that we keep the hips anchored. Hands may fall parallel to one another, or maybe they stack upon one another, finding the sensation that works best for you. Again, keeping the spine long, steady, even breath, sending them into that right side body, opening up the space where the front and the back of the body meet. We'll walk the hands back to center, a clearing breath upon arrival in through the nose, out through the mouth. Walking the hands now to the right side of the mat, opposite side of the mat. Again, same option for hands, they can fall parallel or they can stack upon each other. Making sure hip and fingertips are anchored, creating that sensation from fingertip to hip. Hands return to center, finding a steady landing, a clearing breath into the nose, out through the mouth. Inhale, draws you forward back to that tabletop position, resettling into our foundation. We'll tuck the toes under, making our way into a downward facing dog. We'll send the hips high, legs straighten, reaching a heart towards the mat, melting belly towards thighs, hips reach towards the mat. And inhale, the gaze finds the hands, and exhale, the feet make their way to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Heel toe the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Working the left hand into the center of the legs. We're going to bend through the left knee as we reach the right hand high, straightening the right leg. And exhale, we'll sweep the hand down. Right hand replaces left. Right knee bends, left leg straightens, left hand reaches high. Moving in opposition, taking your time, moving as fast or slow as you'd like. Taking time to feel into the hips, the hamstrings, the inseams of the legs, noticing how that stretch feels, being aware of how the twist lands in the torso. Making sure that you have your hair properly tied up for this. Didn't realize how long my hair was until this. And we'll finish up our set here. We'll bring ourselves back to center, both hands underneath the shoulders. We'll heel toe the feet together until the big toes touch, and there's about an inch of space between the heels. And exhale, bend deeply through the knees, sitting the hips back into their chair. Hands reach high, drawing everything towards center as if you had one leg. Finding our first chair pose or lightning bolt pose of class. And exhale, we can allow hands to meet and they find heart center. Finding that gaze point. Sinking hips back, relaxing into those feet. And inhale like a rocket, we'll stand up, sending the hands high overhead, a full body stretch. Exhale, let the hands fall by your side, finding Tadasana, feet hip width apart. Making sure, again, those blocks are at the top of your mat. And inhale, hands reach high. Exhale, sweeping the hands back down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Letting the hands find the tops of your blocks, anchoring in through that left foot. We'll send the right foot to hip height. Letting yourself find balance, making sure hips and shoulders are square, activating the core, drawing the heel towards the short edge of the mat and the crown of the head towards the front edge. Fingertips may find the tops of the blocks, the mat, or if you'd like, moving into that warrior three, hands reach back. Exhale, inhale. Awesome, we're going to turn those hands to the blocks. We'll make our way to a lunge pose, letting those toes find the back of the mat. Heel reaches over them, squaring the hips. Awesome. Inhale, rise the hands high, high lunge. Soft shoulders, soft gaze. Active hands, active legs. Exhale for the count of 5. We'll lower that back knee to the mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We land. Sweeping the hands down. They can interlace on the thigh. You settle in. Awesome. So an exhale will hinge at the hips, letting the hands find the mat in front of us. Letting the right hand come towards the left, we'll open up towards that bent knee, bringing the left arm towards the sky. If this doesn't feel okay for the shoulder, we can sweep it up overhead, like we're in our, what is that called? I can't remember right now. Exhale, release the hand, return it to frame the front foot. Letting hands come tented underneath of the shoulders. We'll sweep that left hand in and we'll walk the left leg to the outside of the mat. Coming into that dragon pose, we can bring our blocks underneath the shoulders to bring the floor closer to us. Or we can even come down onto forearms If we can reach on the floor or bring the floor to us on top of blocks. Just ensuring wherever we are that we keep the hips, the shoulders, and the spine happy. Marvelous. We'll get our blocks out of the way and walk the foot back to hip width apart. Hands bring the front foot. Plug into your runner's lunge. Step the front foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the palms, step back, downward facing dog. Take a moment to reset. Maybe you find movement, maybe stillness feels great. Just making sure that we root down evenly through all 4 points. Sending hips high, melting the heart. Crown of head reaches towards the earth. Inhale, gaze finds the hands. Exhale, feet make their way to the top of the mat. Again, ensuring we have our blocks close by. Heel toe the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Working through our little twisty flows. We'll bend through the left knee, left hand comes to the middle, hand reaches high. Exhale, bend through the right knee, hand replaces hand. Moving at your own pace. Bending, flowing. And if your hand doesn't reach the mat, we can always bring that block there. We'll finish up one last set. And we'll return hands to the mat, heel toes, feet together, making our way to that chair pose. Heels plug in, toes plug in, bending through knees, sinking hips back, hands high. Option to keep them high or have them meet at heart center. Finding that gaze, drawing everything towards midline. Shooting the hands high like a rocket, coming all the way up to standing, a full body stretch. And we'll make our way to Tadasana, the top of the mat. Heels find hip width. Hips and shoulders square. Ensuring that our blocks are set out and ready for us at whatever height we need. Inhale, reaches hands high. Exhale, forward fold, hands find the blocks or the mat. Rooting into that right foot, activating the core. Finding strength through the thighs, and inhale, we'll reach the left leg high, keeping the hips and shoulders square. Retracting the head, making sure it's in line with the spine. Pushing the floor away from you energetically, not physically, so we can find that lift through the body. Maybe we even make our way to warrior 3, letting hands reach behind us, and crown of head and heel reach in opposite directions. And an exhale, we'll allow those toes to find the back of the mat, high lunge. Prep, making our way all the way to that high lunge itself, reaching fingers high, hips and shoulders square, plugging in through both feet. And to the count of 5, we'll make our way down to a low lunge, bending through the knee. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We have landed. Hands can rest on your thighs. Reconnecting with breath, bringing the mind and the body into the present moment. We can keep our back toe plugged in or unplugged, our personal preference. And exhale, we'll hinge ourselves towards our bent knee. Keeping spine long, letting the left hand come to the inside of the right foot. We'll twist towards that bent knee, bring the right hand towards the sky. Exhale, sweep it down with the right foot to the long edge of the mat. Bring the right hand to the inside, hug the knee into the ribs. Keep the spine long, dragon pose. Again, same option to bring the floor closer to you, coming onto forearms or onto blocks. Wherever we've landed, just keeping ourselves in the body, in the moment. Embracing whatever sensations are created. And embracing them again with that neutral, observational mind. Whether good or bad, we have to stay neutral, balanced. That is where the harmony is created, where we can gain the most clarity and move with the most strength and grace. And exhale, we'll sweep that leg behind us this time, letting the knees draw wide, coming into a wide-legged child's pose, sinking hips and heels back, drawing the forehead to meet the mat, softening down, lengthening out. Letting everything surrender towards the mat. Letting breath expand towards the mat. Belly expands towards the thighs. Savoring one last breath here. Drawing yourself back to a tabletop position. And then walking the hands back towards the knees. Coming into a kneeling posture. If you need to fold the mat over to support the knees, do so. Reaching crown of the head tall towards the ceiling. Hands rest gently in your lap. Elbows soft. A clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And from here, we'll make our way onto our back bodies. So letting the knees rise tall towards the ceiling, keeping palms of feet melting with the mat. Hips and shoulders soften down towards the earth. Letting yourself get comfortable before rushing off in any particular direction. So making sure that we can relax the shoulders down towards the earth, creating a nest for the heart, nestling the shoulder blades closer together, letting the space behind the eyes root into the mat, letting the breath become conscious. Making our way into our final twist postures of class. We'll bring ourselves into a supine twist. So letting the hands come directly out of the shoulders. They can come to a T or they can bend through the arms or bend through the elbows, creating cactus or goalpost arms. An inhale will guide the legs to the left. So either they can jot in towards the belly, or maybe you press down through the feet and steer the hips themselves, your preference, making your way to the supine twist that suits you best. Aiming to stack knee over knee and hip over hip to keep the spine in alignment. Allowing the twist to move through the mid-spine, letting the gaze fall towards the right. If it feels okay for the cervical spine, the neck. Again, adding any props or layers if they're needed, a block or bolster between the knees or under the shoulder. Carefully we'll unwind back to center, beginning with the gaze, neck returns to neutral. With heavy feet, knees return towards the sky, hips ground into the mat, reestablishing center. A clearing breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Press the feet or steer the knees up and over. We'll let the knees fall to the right. Stacking hip over hip, knee over knee. And gaze falls towards the right. Again, adding any of those props or layers that you need, or letting the body hang out and gravity assist it. Finding a new perspective on side two. Maybe a clearer view or something you haven't seen before or felt before. Letting yourself get enthralled in the sensations created by the asana. And we'll return to center, bringing the gaze and the knees back, carefully unwinding, recentering, letting hips and shoulders align, back of the head ground down, drawing ourselves into a balancing posture, Supta Baddha Konasana, or supine bound angle pose. We'll let the bottoms of the feet meet and the knees draw wide open like a book. Hands can rest gently beside you. They can connect the circuit at heart center, palms meet. Or opposite hand reaches for opposite elbow above the head, creating space in the upper body. Choosing your own adventure. Letting the hands rest where they may. Letting shoulders hang heavy towards the earth. Knees follow suit. Face is relaxed and the eyes gently soften into their sockets. Maybe the eyes gently close, the eyelids find one another. Letting the breath move deeply into the body. Trusting in the support from the floor and the skeleton. Allowing the posture to be allowing the posture to bring you steadiness and ease. Return the hands back by your side, knees to center with heavy feet. A clearing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Letting the feet extend to the short edge of the mat, welcoming Shavasana into the body. Letting everything soften down. Letting fingers curl into palms, toes reach down towards the earth as feet splay towards either corner of your mat. Eyes come to a complete close if they already haven't. Maybe reset the jaw, opening the mouth wide and shutting it a few times. Settling in to our final posture of class. Posture of integration, where all the work, the twists, the bends, all integrate into our system. Practice is something that takes repetition. Repetition creates memory. Many of the things we do on and off of the mat become habitual. So again, moving back into that space of the neutral observer, not falling into that habitual mindset we may have when we arrive at a point of stillness. Letting ourselves be open to what may be around the corner. Staying connected with energy and awareness with every breath that moves in and out of the body. It is when we are truly present, we find victory. Knowing that we can stay here as long as we need. Coming into Shavasana, into stillness. Whenever we'd like. Or when we'd like to reawaken, we can find movement through the hands and the feet. Taking bends for the knees. Making our way into the recovery position, letting elbows comfort the head. Spending a few breaths here. And then making our way up to a seat. Thank you for joining me for Yoga for Golfers. This was Twist and Stroke. I hope you enjoyed your practice.